Today is August 2nd, 2019. I am Mariana Hornick, and I am interviewing Frank Randol at the Newkirk Public Library in Newkirk, Oklahoma. I am a member of the Newkirk Go-Getters 4-H Club, and this is for the Oklahoma Military Hall of Fame project.
Got that.
Do you want me to ask questions now?
Well, okay, I guess if it's no good, you can stop it, can't you? Okay.
What motivated you to join the military?
Well, a friend of mine, Arnold Betterton, we graduated high school in 1948. It was in the summer, and we was laying around, nothing to do. So he and I decided to join the military, and at that time, we was going airborne. And so we joined and went to Oklahoma City. And of course, he got through his stuff first, and he shipped out the same day, and they called me over. And while I was there that night, there was one of the recruiting sergeants says, "Why do you want to go in the airborne? What do you want to do that for?" He said, "You can't do anything with that when you get out of the Army." He said, "Why don't you get something, that will work when you get out of the Army?" So he talked me into notion going to engineering school. And so I betrayed Arlo and went to the other direction. And so from then, I went to Fort Ord, California for, indoctrination. And so from there, they put us all on a troop train. Of course, we got our shots in Fort Ord and all that stuff, and then put us on a troop train. We went to Fort Lewis, Washington, and that's where we did our basic training. And so the basic training, the roughest part of the basic training was on a 25-mile hike out to Bivouac, and we had a 40-pound backpack and an M1 rifle. And when we got out there, it rained all the time we was out there, and we was a muddy mess, because we had to go through maneuvers like he was in the military and be overseas. And so anyway, whenever we was out there, of course, we went to the firing range and went under barbed wire, and like that, we was in the war stuff, and we was wet, never dried off. And we come back, finally, after 5 days out there, we came back. The short way is 9 miles. So when we got back, we had to clean up everything, and so they come to our outfit and says, well, we got a treat for you tomorrow. We're going out here to the firing range and show you all the firepower we have here at Fort Lewis, Washington. And so here we go again, I think it was 10 miles out there, but we got to walk. We didn't have to, we could just route step out there. That was really a nice deal to go another 10 miles after that. But basic training was rough. It was really rough. And when you got out of basic training, you was in shape or you wasn't. So that was basic training. And so after basic training, of course, I went to the engineering school in Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Went clear across the top half of the United States, and to go to Fort Belvoir. And so I got to Fort Belvoir, and I went to refrigeration and air conditioning school. And while there, I had a delay en route going overseas. I had 9 days delay en route before I went overseas. I was deployed then to Okinawa. And of course, I came home and stayed, and then went from home to Camp Stoneman, California. And so then I was deported by debarkation, and we shipped out overseas. And while we went out on a United States Army ship, U.S. General Walker, and we was out in San Francisco Bay waiting to go under the Golden Gate Bridge, and they had a life raft that wouldn't go down, so we stayed out there and waited and waited and waited, and so dark came, so we all went back down under. And sometime in the middle of the night, I woke up and I felt that ship going like, I know we're out here. And anyway, I woke up the next morning. I felt fine, but I didn't want to get out of bed. But when I finally got out of bed, I was sick. No way, that's seasick. For the first day, I was seasick. But that was it for going out there. Of course, we got to Okinawa, and on the en route we stopped at Yamaha, Japan, for one day there. I don't know, they had stuff they had to do there. And when we got to Okinawa, of course, we went to a distribution area, and while there, it happened to be Easter Sunday, and they had Easter sunrise service at Nagasaki Castle, and so I went to that service, and then later on they sent us to our outfits at where we was to be deployed the rest of the time there. And I was in the 590th Engineer Service Company, and we serviced the island mess halls, make sure their refrigeration and stuff was up to date, where they wouldn't have any spoiled food. Of course, the mess sergeants there was really nice to us. We got all kinds of stuff, you know. But as far as overseas, it wasn't bad at all. Anything else on this deal, or you want me to go on?
What was the most demanding part about your deployment?
What?
What was the most demanding? Because you were deployed, correct?
Yes.
So what was the most demanding part about your deployment?
Well, I guess the most demanding part of it was to make sure that everything was worked up to snuff. You know, we didn't want anything to spoil, and that was probably the most demanding part of it.
What rank are you most proud of to have earned, and why?
Well, I received the rank of sergeant while at Fort Sill. I was happy to get that. You know, everybody wants to get that at least, and so that's what I got.
Were there any medals or citations that you were proud to have earned?
Yes, I got the Occupation Medal of Okinawa and Good Conduct Medal. That's what I got when I was in.
Can you tell me about some of the special people that you met?
Well, any special people that I met while I was overseas, I don't really have any special people. But, you know, we wasn't in a Satan outfit. We was just different groups and doing different jobs. But while I was in Fort Belvoir, Virginia, I went to President Truman's inauguration in Washington, D.C., and that was a big deal there. But overseas, we was just a bunch of people, and you know, we lived in Quonset huts. At first, we was in Quonset huts over there, and then they built some new buildings, and we moved there. But I guess the most important thing probably overseas was 2 typhoons hit us. We had Typhoon Gloria hit us, and it just destroyed stuff on the island. Oh, it's terrible. We was in a Quonset hut then, and the wind blew out the end of the Quonset hut, so all of our cots just went one way. And so we kind of got fearful of staying in that building, and we crawled on our stomachs to the next Quonset hut. And all that water that was in there was salt water. It wasn't any, it was just salt. We could just taste it on your lips and everything, sucking that water out of the ocean. And that was started in the morning and didn't get over till late afternoon, that typhoon. But that was the real big highlight over there. Of course, while I was over there, I don't know whether you want this now or not, but while I was over there, I received a real honor. I was named Soldier of the Month for the whole island. And, you know, that was pretty good for just do an inspection. They had a big inspection deal. And I found some place, I don't know how I found it, but anyway, World War II, they had what they call service shoes, and you could really polish them. And so I got a pair of those service shoes out of the warehouse, and had you find out all these things, and I found a big place there, and one of them, some of them Okinawas was sewed, so I had them take the combat boot tops off of my combat boots and sew one of those shoes. And see, I was at an advantage because my boots could really be shined. These combat boots were roughouts. You couldn't polish them very good, but these I could polish. And my first sergeant, he was really helping me out to get on that inspection. We ironed my stuff and everything else, and I was in pretty ship shape. And I didn't know it until they come and told me, and I got, you know what I got? Got 3-day pass and nowhere to go. That's it.
Okay. What was the best or worst military food that you were served and why?
Well, the worst military food was boiled liver. You can't do that. Oh man, I can't eat liver of any kind now. I don't want it. And I suppose, on Thanksgiving in 1949, Thanksgiving 1949, I was over there, and we was in the new barracks then, new concrete barracks. And our dinner was a full Thanksgiving dinner. It had all the trimmings and everything else. And I think I remember that probably as best as anything as far as the good meals.
Can you tell me a funny story that you experienced that could really only happen in the military?
Well, I think probably the funniest thing, we called the personnel carriers, they would, a vehicle that hauled people. And the guy that drove this one time, he hot wired it, so we went up there to get in it. See, if you touched it in the ground, you shocked you. And that was probably the funniest story. Everybody got shocked at that particular time.
So, how did your military experience affect your life today?
I think it actually took a kid and made a man out of you, I think. Because I was only 18 years old and hadn't been probably as farther away from home I've been with Wichita, Kansas. That's as far away and you look over the horizon, you don't know what's there. You don't know what's there.
So have you kept in contact with anyone with whom you served?
Well, I used to have friends with a guy by the name of Buddy Higgins. He was from down there at Lawton. And the guy that Denver Conrad, he was from York, Pennsylvania. And he was down there, and he would ride home. I would drive home from McCann, from Fort Sill to home. It's 235 miles in one way. And he'd come home with me almost every time we could come home. Of course, I was dating my wife, and it's important I got home when I could.
So do you have any other stories that you would like to share?
Well, I don't know. I know that coming back from Okinawa, we was on the same ship I went over on. Of course, going over is called the USAT General Walker, and coming back, they named it USNS General Walker, naval ship. And coming back, the ocean was glassy. I couldn't believe it. You could look out there and it just looked like glass. And it was so smooth the trip home. And of course, when you got back home, the first thing, one of these pictures I think is in there, I got it, as several of us, first thing we did was buy some civilian clothes and get out of our uniform. Of course, we couldn't be in any civilian clothes over there. And we did that. And the first thing I heard on the radio was old Hank Williams singing, "Why Don't You Love Me Like You Used to Do?" And of course, he wasn't doing that. I didn't hear him before. And I couldn't, who is that? And strange things for a little while when you come back. I was there 14 months.
Okay, well, thank you for letting me interview you, and thank you for your service.
You're welcome. I hope I did all right.